Hey everybody, welcome to Sit Down with Ted here at Schreiner University, and today we are on location. And this is going to be one of our best shows and one of the most fun shows that we're going to do all year. We're joined by Carl Davis. My name is Ted Davis. Davis and Davis.
That's it.
No brothers
The
here.
law firm of.
We're not brothers.
That's right.
Unless we come from another mother or something like that.
That could happen.
But Carl is the head of the Aviation Department here at Schreiner University, and I think you have one of the coolest jobs. And you have one of the coolest departments here, the Aviation Department. So tell me how the Aviation Department here at Schreiner came about.
Well, and I know you asked Dr. McCormick about this as well.
I did.
He I think, had been lobbied for quite some time. I think the number that's thrown around is about 10 years to bring an aviation program to Schreiner. I showed up at the very end, and I think I got the lucky part of that. I came down, I had been asked to speak at graduation, which I was very honored to do. And along about that time, he pulled me aside and said, you know, I'm getting a lot of people wanting to talk about an aviation program here. I said, well, if you ever think of that, keep me in mind. I'd be interested in helping out. Shortly after that, I went home, made the command decision to retire back to Kerrville, and I get this phone call that says, would you like to be a part of that aviation program we talked about? And that's kind of how we fired up.
How many years ago was that?
That's going to be around 3, because we just finished, today would be the end of our 2.5 year.
Okay, so it's relatively new.
It's relatively
So
new.
when you came here, you're starting from scratch. So
Yep.
what did you do first?
Well, we found a place to house everything. That was probably the first thing, and then look for an aviation partner. The partner we picked out is U.S. Aviation Academy that works with us. We were looking for real estate on the airport. I think timing again worked out very well. There was a renter here on this side of this particular building, which met our needs, that decided to leave at the exact same time we needed to be here. So
the timing really came together well.
Dominoes lining up, and it worked really well.
We're going to go through your background in a little bit because you're an ex-pilot, obviously. And but tell us about the course. How does it go when a student comes here? I met a football player who came here specifically for the Aviation Department. So when a kid comes here, what happens first?
So I'm a big believer that I want to get you in the airplane as fast as I can. So first week you're on campus, we're going to have you up and fly in the airplane if it humanly possible. Make sure all your paperwork's done.
All right, see, that sounds fun already.
Yeah, I think it's a big draw. And there are other schools out there right now that don't go that route. Sometimes you're getting 6 or a semester or 2 before you touch an airplane.
Okay, I want to stop you right there, though.
Okay.
See, I do broadcasting, and when people ask me how to broadcast, I say you broadcast. You're not going to learn it in class.
Right.
You have the same vision about flying?
Absolutely. I feel like when I'm teaching class and we're teaching you about the weather, or we're teaching you the rules, we're teaching you the jargon, that's kind of equivalent if I was trying to teach how to play chess and I didn't put a board in front of you. We can talk about how all the different men move, but I want you out there tying those ideas in and actually doing it as fast as possible. I think that gets retention up.
So take us through the process of the course. What's first?
What's first? We're going to start you out as a private pilot. I'll put a little caveat in there. I can take you with your private pilot for those of you that are interested. Can't take it, well, I can take you with more than that, but it's easier if you're with your private pilot or less. Then we'll start you in your private pilot first semester. Hopefully by Christmas I'm sending you home with your private pilot. Come back in the spring semester and we start working on your instrument rating. Your sophomore year, we're working on your commercial license, multi-engine in there, and then if you want to go be an instructor, we can work on that in your junior year.
We're sitting here on a relatively cloudy day. We had some rain earlier in the morning, and you were saying kids have to learn how to fly in this kind of weather.
Oh, absolutely.
But you can't go up today at this point, right?
Right. The students that I have scheduled for today are all private pilots, and so clouds and private pilots don't mix. So we have to have a certain level, and we're just waiting on the clouds to burn off or lift up so we can get out and fly.
But they have to learn to fly in clouds,
And
right?
then eventually, once they mastered how to fly without clouds, now we'll take them and put them in the clouds.
And how about flying at night?
Yes, sir. There's a component that FAA requires. I think for the private, it's 10 hours of nighttime flying. For the commercial, there's another, I think, 25 hours of night flying. That's what you're going to do. I enjoy flying at night better than I do flying in the day, personally.
I did too. When I was in the NBA and we would fly, and I could see, I learned where all the cities were. You can detect the cities just by the way they're laid out.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I could always tell Toronto because of the CN Tower.
Yeah.
You could see it.
Yeah. And Chicago used to be all orange lights, and which is amazing. Whoever the orange light salesman was in Chicago did really
Milwaukee
well.
had the same lights. They're kind of odd looking. So that the student that I talked about on the football team, he said also he loved flying in the hill country.
Yeah, yeah. We are. We luck out with weather. We've got better than 300 days a year of good flying weather. Now, some days it may not happen till the afternoon, like now, but we do have good weather because we're out away from major cities. The traffic is less, so we can get right out and get into a lesson quicker. We don't have to wait on things. So I think we have a lot of benefit here with being in the hill country.
When the pilots go up, how long do they fly in general?
On average, it's about an hour.
Okay.
The human brain kind of stops being able to take on information after about 45 minutes to an hour. So a good workout is about an hour in the airplane, then it's probably time to come back and take a break.
How long would it be until they solo? Because that's the one where they've got to be in there alone, go up and land the plane.
Absolutely. So it's going to be when they're ready. I think most people figure it's going to be around 12 hours of flight time. But if you go to 20, that's okay. Our motto here is we're going to send you up when you're ready. It's not a contest. Let's make sure you're competent and confident in the airplane and can get it back on the ground.
Joined by Carl Davis. He is the head of the Aviation Department here at Schreiner University. Do you remember the first time you soloed?
Absolutely. It was right out here.
Was it?
Yeah, I soloed here at Kerrville Schreiner Field back in 1984. I was, I think I was a junior in high school. And so yes, I still remember that and getting out of the airplane and thinking, wow, look what I did.
Yeah.
So,
Were you confident that you could do it? But was there a relief when you did it? You're like, okay, I did it.
yeah, the big memory I have is the first time I rotated the airplane and took off and looked over at the empty seat and the yoke just moving, and I said,
it's
well,
up to you.
Yeah, you've done it now, Davis. You got to get this thing back on the ground.
I mentioned when I talked to you before, Tom Petty had a song called Learning to Fly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that might have some drug reference or something, but he was actually trying to learn how to fly. And he said the hardest part is coming down.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, we jokingly say, you know, a good landing you can walk away from, but a great landing is one where you can use the airplane again. So we're always striving for great landings.
There's a shortage of pilots.
Absolutely.
How big of a shortage?
So when I worked for the Boeing company prior to coming to Schreiner, I did a lot of speeches and stumping on this. I think it's probably still accurate to say if we took every flight school in America and turned their volume up to 100% output, they still couldn't meet the demand that's needed for the next 10 years in the airlines.
Why is there a shortage?
It's a culmination of, you've got growth in the airlines. Airlines are taking deliveries of a lot of airplanes. For every airplane, you're going to need somewhere between 5 and 12 crews.
For that one airplane.
For that one airplane to go.
Wow.
So every time we get a new airplane, we're getting 10 to 20 new pilots needed. And then we've got the Gulf War veterans who are all aging out and starting to retire. So it's kind of a culmination of those factors. You've got some draw overseas. There are airlines overseas that are hiring Americans, and that's an interesting and fun job for some folks. So they're leaving to go do that.
So if you want a job, you can get a job in aviation.
And absolutely, not just in flying airplanes. At a minimum, it takes 5 different people to get an airplane off the ground. So whether it's the pilot or the flight attendant or the mechanic or the fueler or the air traffic controller or the cabin attendant, cabin safety attendant, all those people have to show up for work or the airplane's not getting off the gate. And there's shortages in every one of those fields.
So that you can get your commercials pilot. You can do cargo pilots for like UPS and FedEx. And then there's the private pilots.
Corporate, I bounced through a lot of those different fields on my way up through the aviation career. Corporate is, let me say it this way, when the airlines start hiring, that kind of adds the draw. I call it the great vacuum in the sky, because everybody's going to the airlines, which means the corporate guys are going to the airlines, the charter guys are going to the airlines. Cargo, not so much anymore, in that FedEx and UPS are great career paths.
Yeah.
But there's that big draw. So it pulls from everywhere, which means, guess what? Now there's jobs down here. You don't get to the airlines right now. Well, there's opportunities galore to do those other things until you can.
Did you do corporate and commercial?
I did.
Which one did you enjoy the most?
If I could get in the Wayback Machine, I would go back to the airline and stay there.
Okay.
In that, I think the beauty, the corporate job is different. I would say flying is 15% of your job. In smaller departments, you're also the person who gets the fuel, you're also the person that coordinates the maintenance, you're also the person getting the rent car, you're also the person that throws the bags, you're also make sure the catering's on the plane for the boss and the coffee's hot. I enjoyed that part because it really teaches you everything that's going on around the aircraft. But when you get to the airline and your job is to move that airplane safely from point A to point B, and then when you walk off, you're done thinking about work. I don't have that anymore. And after after a career of being in the maintenance or management side of the house, I miss those days of just being able to go, I'm done with work.
Did you get the flying bug early?
Yeah,
Because a lot of people do.
I was born into it. My mom was a flight attendant for Eastern Airlines, and my dad was a pilot for Delta.
Oh, so you had
it was
no
in the
choice.
Stars where I was going. Yeah.
Take me through your background. What airline did you work for? And
Well, we'll start here in Kerrville. I learned to fly here in high school. Had the idea I was going to go fly something. Airlines were probably where I wanted to end up. I got lucky enough to get into the U.S. Naval Academy, thinking, okay, maybe I'll fly Navy jets. I wasn't an awesome student at the Naval Academy. I transferred out of Navy, went to Indiana State. They had a flying program and a football program. I did play football at Navy as well. So when we talk about the students coming on campus, I feel like that gave me a real appreciation for the opportunity to be in a collegiate sport, what that does for you for life preparation on top of doing this. So I try to support all of our athletes that want to come here and do this. Then I got hired as a corporate pilot. That's what brought me back to Kerrville. Finished up at Schreiner, getting my degree, and flew out of San Antonio for a while. Then I flew out of Kerrville for 4 years. Went to work for the Beechcraft Corporation in Wichita as a factory pilot, then as an instructor pilot on the Beech Jet, and then a corporate pilot in Topeka. So the story is you have to go where the jobs are.
yeah,
And so it moved me along. Then I got hired at Delta, did that for 7 years. Flew out of New York the morning of 9/11.
did you?
That was an interesting week and changed the business.
Okay, let's pause there.
Okay.
You were in the air
Yep.
on 9/11.
Yeah. Flew out of New York. I flew out of LaGuardia that morning at 6:10
Wow.
a.m. Blissfully unaware. I think as we all were.
Where were you flying to?
New York to Orlando. We were supposed to turn around and go right back to New York.
What's that, about 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We were at probably top of descent when everything went down, going into Orlando. So the news hadn't caught up with us yet till we landed, and then things started getting really odd, and then we watched the rest of the morning happen,
Yeah.
and ended up stuck in Orlando for about a week.
And the weirdest part about that for the next few days is that there were no planes in the
Yeah.
air.
I called my wife, said, take the kids outside right now. So we lived in Kansas, near Kansas City, and I said, they're never going to realize it. I think they were 2 and 3. I said, but listen to the fact you can't hear an airplane.
Yeah.
Because you may never hear that in America,
Yeah.
hopefully ever again.
Yeah. That had to be just an odd day.
It was.
We actually got to go tour the site, 9/11, as a team. The Bucks were in New York. It was in February, so it was about 5 or 6 months after. Maybe it was January. And we went to the big hole there where the two buildings had been. We were on this fire station, the top floor, and this fire station was really kind of it was 24-hour operation to dig and do.
Sure.
And this was, they had food and cots and everything. So this guy was giving a tour, and he said, this has been a really good day. And our whole team is there. And we're, okay, how? Why? And he said, well, today we found a fireman boot with a leg bone in it. And we're like, how's that a good day?
They can figure out who
He
it
said,
is.
well, the name was on the boot, and he could give that to their family. And we went, wow, that's a good day?
Yeah.
And then he said at the end of that day, when the sun went down and that big pile of rubble was just there smoking, firemen all have those beepers if they fall. He said there are hundreds of beepers going off in that. But that's just another story.
Yeah,
So anyway, if a kid wants to learn how to fly, how does he do it?
So if you want to come to Schreiner, head to the website, click on that website, or actually scroll down. You'll find an aviation logo. You can click on that, which will take you to the aviation web page, and there's an opportunity on there to set up a meeting with me. So we can talk, walk through your questions. I can get a feel for where you're at, what's your motivation, where you want to go. Is Schreiner right for you? There may be circumstances where I'm going to tell you, you know what, you don't want to go through this program. I've got young people who come to me and say, I want to fly for the military.
Yeah.
This is not that pathway. That's not what this is set up for. So
What's the difference?
Difference is if you're going to go to the military, then the U.S. government's going to pay for your training.
Okay.
And instead of paying Schreiner University for that training and then having to go do it again, I tell them to at least look long and hard at how they want to do that. If they want to still come to Schreiner after they've investigated everything, then I'm not going to stop them. But I want to make sure they understand that there's a difference.
And the website again is?
Just Schreiner.edu.
Schreiner.edu aviation,
Yep.
right? You were at Indiana State. You played football there.
I did.
Were you there when Larry Bird was there?
Nope, I was post Larry Bird. Actually, I was there when Eddie Bird was there, his little brother. So I met Eddie.
I never heard of him, so he probably wasn't as good as Larry.
He was not, but he did all right for us.
How'd the football team do when you were there?
We enjoyed playing football. I'll just leave it at that.
You were the Sycamores.
Yes, we were.
Yeah,
Yes,
not
we
many.
were.
How many teams are named after trees? I don't know. It's
Stanford.
Stanford.
Thanks.
Yeah, the Cardinal. Yeah. This airplane back here.
Yes, sir.
So this is one that they'll fly in. It goes up, huh?
Certainly is. One of our Cessna 172s that our flight school partner, U.S. Aviation, has down here based with our paint and our logo on it. They work good. We've got 2 mechanics that work here full time, take good care of the airplanes. I like to say those mechanics think they own the airplanes, which is exactly what I want my mechanic to think.
Like their own car,
Yeah,
right?
and so they're in really good shape. They do a great job for us, and absolutely, as you can hear, not a lot of airplanes flying right now, but we get it busy out here.
It's starting to get lighter.
Yeah, it's trying.
So how much more lighter would it need to be to go up?
What we care about is how low they are. As soon as they get to about 2,000 feet, we can start flying airplanes again with
Okay,
private
they're
pilots.
probably too low right now.
Yeah,
aren't
they are. I'm going to guess they're at about 1,200.
Yeah.
Taking a look at it.
Well, you've got a great job.
Thank you.
You're kind of like
very
me. You're kind
lucky
of like
to be here.
You're kind of like me in that I never felt like I was working
Yeah.
a day in my life.
Yep.
And when you fly, there's a song by the Eagles called "Peaceful, Easy Feeling."
Mm-hmm.
When you get up in the air, do you have that?
That's the goal.
Yeah.
The goal
No
is
chaos.
I want a really boring flight and
Yeah.
not much to talk about. But I think the other part of it is where I can feel you headed is it's a passion.
Yeah.
Right, you've got to you fall in love with this, and then you fall in love with the opportunity to go and bring other people into this and see what a great career it is.
Yeah. Carl, thank you.
Thanks, Ted.
I've enjoyed talking to you.
Same here.
Carl Davis, head of the Aviation Department. Ted Davis, not related. We'll see you next time on the Sit Down with Ted here at Schreiner University.